And we are live once again. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome once again to Off the Chain. It's been a long time since we did an Off the Chain live. Um, Actually, come to think of it, I don't think we've ever done Off the Chain live. But tonight, as people start filing in, it's a Q&A time. You get to ask me some questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer those questions. I see one's already popped up in here, so this is your opportunity with all the think different. Somebody changed their name. Somebody changed their name, throwing me off. I see I see I see a slight name change, but yet I see but anyhow, someone's trying to throw me off a little bit. Well, good to see you all tonight. Thank you all for joining the live. Tonight is an opportunity to, I guess you could say, ask me your questions. Thank you all so much. 2 likes already in the live. I don't know how long we're going to go. We're going to go for a little while. I still got to work bright and early in the morning, so I don't want to go super, super, super long. But hey, what's going on, Hector? Welcome to the live. Thank you for being here for me. Today's you guys' chance to ask me questions, kind of throw some questions out there, cars, romance, stuff like that. You know, what we're doing to Project Spirit, or maybe questions about classic cars in general. Always a good subject. Along with that, I'm going to be answering some questions. Uh, hey, we got Clifford Smith. Oh, wow. 20 28 days. Congratulations. Um, 2 days away. 2 days away. That's impressive. Also, feel free to. We did a live yesterday on Sober Talk. Went almost like just short of 2 hours, and let me tell you, that was an exciting live. It was a lot of fun, and I had a great time doing it, and that sort of thing. So we'll definitely be doing that again. Uh, if at the end of this stream, we're going to ask if I should go ahead and start doing a once a week. Yeah, and what do I think? Honestly, YouTube's been a little. We did a talk about that earlier this week. I kind of did a live stream on that, and I gave away some life hacks in there. And YouTube's been kind of. I got away with it because it was a real positive stream and everything, and I gave away as much information as I possibly could. And I'll be honest with you, I mean, this. If everybody, the one thing I'm going to say in all of this is going to blow over a lot quicker than you think. Number one, avoid places of high traffic. Okay, so keep your shop, get your shopping done. That one and done, baby. Get it done and just stay the heck away from large crowds. That's just common sense. Number two, um, eat healthy. Okay, take care of you. And I hate to be the guy, I work for McDonald's, and I'm going to say it again. Um, Even though I work for McDonald's, and yes, because of the low business, my hours have been cut back a little bit, but I'd rather see my hours get cut back a little bit than see all of you in bad health anyways. So I'm going to say it like this again. It's time that we start passing up the drive-through, okay? Eat healthy, okay? That's just the thing y'all got to remember. Eat healthy, take care of you, and and I'm just going to say it like this. Uh, I know some places they're going so far as they're wearing the latex gloves or the nitrile gloves, and that's a good thing. And I this didn't come up in the last live, so I'm going to answer it now. Um, Answering it in this live, that is kind of a false sense of security. In the medical field, we had to change gloves between every person, okay? So if you're wearing the same gloves between the people, if you come in contact with anything, I don't care if it's, this whole pandemic going on, or anything else for that matter, all you're doing is just spreading it to other people, not necessarily to yourself, but you're spreading it to other people. So don't do that. Your best bet is to change gloves between each person, and gloves are not a replacement for hand washing, period. Okay. But if we remember these simple guidelines that I myself know in the medical field, then you're going to be pretty safe. You're going to stay pretty healthy. Just take care of you and treat yourself as if you already are sick. And how do you do that? Plenty of rest, plenty of fluids, eat healthy, and wash your hands. That's it. It doesn't get any easier than that. Okay. All right. So, does that answer your question? I mean, I honestly don't think there's really anything else that we can do. I'm not that worried about it. Honestly, I mean, there's nothing to really worry. Okay. It's like any other virus, and that's just how it is. It's just like any other virus. Take care of you. Okay. How long have we been dealing with the flu? Since World War One, and that is a pandemic that most people don't even talk about anymore. And it's still a global pandemic. We're still dealing with the flu. It just comes in different forms, every year. That's it. That's the only thing we've dealt with the flu, and that's been a global pandemic, and it takes several lives. I mean, so that's why I'm not worried about it. If you were to ask me on a scale of 1 to 10, how worried am I? I'd say about a 4, honestly. Um, your chances of actually getting sick from something like this is, if you're taking care of you, you'll be fine. You'll be fine. And again, just avoid large groups. That's kind of what our president said, and I kind of like what he had to say. So, all right. Uh, so I hope that answers your question. Next question. Throw me a good one. Throw me a good one. Again, we're going to be kind of touching base on some other stuff that was brought up in a couple other live streams. Um, while I'm waiting for said next question, my buddy Third Gen 83 brought up a good point. He kind of almost freaked out. He's like, Prince Magnum, you're using 30 weight oil in Project Spirit. There's other better oils out there. And I'm like, yeah, well, she prefers the 30 weight oil. And then I read a little closer, and he mentioned that the old 30 weight oil was a non-detergent and had a nasty habit of building up. Building up this kind of nastiness inside the valve covers. It just sludge up real good. And that's the old non-detergent 30 weight oil. What he was thinking I used in Project Spirit is something like this. This is actually a non-detergent 30 weight oil from back in the day. And literally, to open this up, you would take like this little spout thing, and you'd punch it in the top, and then you poured it directly into your engine. Okay. And that's the old SAE 30. That's how this was back in the day. Right. Actually, we're supposed to be doing a giveaway. And in the giveaway, this actually will be, yeah, this is actual straight SAE 30. It's not your multi-grade. Um, but when the time comes, we do have some stuff for a giveaway. Right now, I'm just kind of waiting until I can get my monetization turned back on, which I need to double check that. I think we're getting close to time. Thank you again. 3 people in the live, 3 likes. But real quick, with this will actually be in the giveaway. A lot of people love this for collecting stuff, and the motor oil is still inside. I don't know how well my mic can pick that up, but the oil is still inside. So this is as it was back when Project Spirit was brand new, back in technically 1974. So this is actually part of the giveaway. But we've got to wait till the monetization gets turned back on, because y'all get that. But anyhow, so what Project Spirit uses is this type, and all modern day oils have detergent. You cannot get the non-detergent like this anymore. It'll come like this. It'll have detergents in it that scrub away that sludge, so it doesn't sludge up like it used to. So that's why I use this. And it is a conventional, so it's only good for 3 to 4,000 miles. They actually say 5,000. I don't go. I've always preferred 3 to 4,000 miles. If you get up around 5,000, it starts doing really horrible things to your engine. But that's what Project Spirit prefers, is something like this. So if that answers your question, if that I hope that answers his question, because all modern day oils have to have the detergents in it. Um, Again, though, if you run the synthetic oils for some odd reason, I don't know why this is. If you've got a small, minuscule oil leak, the synthetics seem to find that little leak and they make it worse. I don't know why that is, but the conventional doesn't do that. So I don't know. But if you've already been running synthetic, I will tell you that they're good for a little bit longer than the old conventional stuff. But I wouldn't go past, I know sometimes you can go X amount of money. 5,000. Don't go past 5,000, and you better be pulling that thing off the road and doing an oil change. So that's a little bit of oil tech there. Real quick, hopefully in one of the next videos, I'll be dropping and this will be an actual edited video. I don't think we'll do this live. Hopefully we'll be dropping Project Spirit's cross member for her transmission and mounting a brand new transmission, transmission mount. Basically, this will kind of actually it bolts in kind of like this and bolts to the cross member, and that'll provide a little bit more stability because brand new rubber, and it'll provide a little bit more stability when the engine and transmission is flexing, whenever I'm accelerating or touching the gas pedal. That's something to do with centrifugal force and BS like that. But basically, every time you rev your engine, it does that little twist in there. In the old days, if you built an engine strong enough, you would have to chain it to the frame because it would snap the motor mounts. You would put it in there, but you would still have to chain it down to the frame because it twists. Project Spirit's inline six is not that strong, but for those that have ever wondered about that, if you ever see that, so double checking here, but yes, yeah, that's an old can of 30 weight that was actually given to me by somebody who just happened to find a big old case in a house he was tearing down, and he knew I was into things like this. He was like, hey, you got an old car? I was like, yeah, give that here. Give that here. So we added it to the giveaway. Along with that, there's some like really interesting, kind of unusual Hot Wheels I've gotten my hands on. Matter of fact, I was just looking in the box a few minutes ago. Here, I'll grab it real quick. What's supposed to actually be in the giveaway? Here, I'll show you. Just been kind of collecting stuff. Brand new steering wheel cover with the fake wood grain. I actually bought this for like a respectable price. Yeah, I don't know where those came from. Or that, for that matter. Brand new flashlight. Oh yeah. I'll put in new batteries before then. Yep. Well, hello there, Fleming, the ultimate grave taker. Welcome to the live. Thank you so much for joining us. We're doing a Q&A. This is your opportunity to ask me questions about cars, romance, and try to stick with the classics. I don't, pretty much my knowledge of cars starts dwindling off pretty doggone quick after 1987. That is not a joke, folks. But, basically I was just showing off some stuff that we've got, basically for the giveaway that'll be coming up as soon as I can get the monetization turned back on, because that's how I'll probably pay for shipping it to you. But basically it's just a big giveaway of a bunch of different things. Like in this, like here, me, I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I'll be honest with you, I am kind of mentally and emotionally exhausted from dealing with all of this stuff that's been going on. We've been live every day for problem. I think this is like day 4, day 5, something like that. Now I know tomorrow I'm going to take the day off, and tomorrow will be edited content, and I can tell you right now it's going to be Legend of Zelda, the original, and we're going to be doing kind of another addition to the walkthrough that I've been working on, which right now I'm getting ready to edit the sixth dungeon, sixth labyrinth, or level 6, however you want to say it, from the original Legend of Zelda game from 1986. So you guys are going to get that content, and you're going to be getting it kind of from the eyes of someone that was playing it brand new back in the 1980s. So that's kind of what you're going to be learning is, and we've already loaded the first one, and it was kind of like a quick grind to kind of grind out some stuff. So, but yeah, tomorrow I'm taking the day off. Uh, so I'm in good humor. I mean, right now mostly I'm just trying to think of what we can do to to kind of to kind of pass the time right now for all of us, with this whole pandemic thing going on. What can we do to pass the time? So that's kind of what's going on right there. Real quick, along with the giveaway, I have basically it's a 1969 Dodge Charger that I got lucky enough to pick up at a Dollar Tree, but these are so hard to find. That's a good question, Clifford. A very good question. Um, that's not the type of baking that she won't allow me to. Basically, I'm not allowed to do baked goods, like cakes and things like that. Are you wanting to see a lasagna? I mean, is that kind of a thing? I mean, I hadn't really thought about doing a lasagna. I know that I'm looking at doing. Uh, I was actually looking at doing like a pasta sauce live. Oh, so you want me to say, okay, okay. Well, I might just have to look and getting a few ingredients and might see about doing a lasagna. I've actually got a pretty decent recipe for a lasagna, and it actually doesn't require um, an oven. It actually just requires a slow cooker, one of your crock pot cookers. So that might be something we might have to look at doing sometime here pretty soon then. All right. So that's a good question. Good question. But I know I'm going to have to make a pasta sauce of some sort at some point. And if that's the case, we're definitely going to be using it for this. I actually have some ricotta cheese. So, okay. Okay. Well, all right. We'll definitely look into that. All right. So we got the 69 Dodge Charger that'll be in the giveaway. We've got, check out this particular Maverick. So that'll be in the giveaway. Kind of hard to find and then a slightly different version of the same one. And these will be in the giveaway. Um, Along with that, see, I can get my hands on some unusual stuff. Anybody just say anything? Um, Movie posters. For a while, the McDonald's I work at actually had, ironically enough, a red box out front. And if you're across the pond and you don't know what the red box is, basically you can go up and digitally rent a movie from like a vending machine, more or less. You can rent a movie directly from that vending machine. Well, when the movies would change and the person would come over and empty out the old movies, they would have to change the posters. Well, I was able to get my hands on some of these posters and a couple of them from the movie Logan. So yeah, I've got that. This is in the giveaway. And I know there's somebody, I'm not, so I definitely don't want this around, but from the last movie they did. So that will definitely be in the giveaway. along with that, like you guys didn't see this a coming, some actual stickers of performance companies, Summit Racing. These will be in the giveaway. Got a bunch of these actually, and a lot of these I picked up from doing car shows. So I don't have any use for them. And of course, from the actual uh, when we got Project Spirit's Excel Super Coil, this actually came in the box. Okay. Now, even if I was racing Project Spirit, I would never put anything like this on there because I don't want people to know what I did. Okay. So I definitely, even though legitimately I could put this on there, ain't happening. So that's just a few of the things that are in the giveaway. As a matter of fact, just to add, I'll just set that out of the way. But there you go. And of course, that big can of motor oil, that's that old can of 30 weight, that will be in the giveaway. I don't even know where these came from, why those were in there. But we're also going to. Imports or muscles? Okay. Um, that term muscle car gets thrown around an awful lot, an awful lot. And it wasn't that long ago we did a live and I talked about this, so I'll do it again. Um, this particular model, this is a 1969 Camaro. Now, if I was to ask most of you what this is, you'll give me one of two answers. Either A, you would say it's a muscle car from 1969, or B, you would say it's a pony car. No, I'm going over it again. I'm going over it again. Um, you would say it's either a pony car or a muscle car. Okay. Yeah, it's the first generation Camaro. We did this little model live a couple weeks ago. Now, eventually, we've got another one over here that we'll be doing. Um, and if you said it's either a pony car or a muscle car, in both instances, you're technically wrong. Um, and I'm going to say it like this: the term muscle car doesn't actually exist. Okay. What the muscle car era actually was just a lot. You could get performance cars. Basically, there was two types of cars during the muscle car era. There was cars that had a performance package and cars that didn't have performance packages. That's really what it boiled down to. What is the Camaro in any form? That's easy. It's a sports car. It's a 2+2 seater sports car. Okay, then what's the Mustang? It's a 2+2 seater sports car. Mercury Cougar, 2+2 seater sports car. Beginning to see that basically what people are calling pony cars are just actual sports cars. They're 2+2 seater sports cars, mid-size. There's nothing wrong with that. They're in the same category technically as the Corvette. Well, what the Corvette used to be. The Corvette used to be a two-seater roadster sports car, and of course now it's myself. Right. Myself personally, my second car was a '78 Camaro Berlinetta, which there was only a handful of those made. So I really kicked myself for letting that car go. My dad and I, when we got our hands on it, it had a busted 305 in it. And how do I know it was busted? I went out there, hit the key, and boom, threw the rod right through the side of the engine. Only had like 100,000 miles. Uh, well, we pulled that engine out and we dropped a 400 small block in it. There was okay, real quick. Show you guys when it comes to cars, I'm actually more of a Chevy kind of guy than anything. Chevy and Oldsmobile, even though I've got technically an antique Ford. The um, if you went, I can actually name off every Chevy small block in cubic inch displacement size from smallest to largest, and it won't take me that long. Okay. And I could just about tell you almost every year when those engines came out and when they were discontinued, almost all of them. Um, so, since I said that, from smallest to the largest Chevy small block V8, the 262, 265, 267, the 283, 302, 305, 307, 327, 350, 400. That's in order. And those are actual factory engines from smallest to largest. Now, for big block, that's a horse of a different color. Okay. There was, in order, the 348, 396. Oh, no, that's not a Chevy small block. That's something totally different. The LS is something totally different. It does have a lot of the old tech inside from the Chevy small block days, but it is not a Chevy small block V8. It doesn't fall under the it does not fall under the actual name for the Chevy small blocks is called the Turbo Fire. When you get up to the Mark IV design Chevy big blocks, those are called Turbo Jets. Okay. And the LS design does not fall under those categories. So to answer that question, but if you look close enough, I know on a lot of those particular engines, a lot of the Chevy uh, designs like that, if you look close enough, the firing order, the oh, are you talking about the those Ecotech or those four-cylinder Camaros that they came out and it's like the four-cylinder turbo stuff? Yeah, that's kind of a joke. I don't want to be that guy to have to say it. Um, I'm not a big fan of turbos being added to an engine. I mean, if you slap on well, it's too new for one for this guy. Anything after 87, my knowledge starts dropping off pretty fast. But and for the record, I will also say the United States stopped building cars after 1987. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Oh, what about that? No, no, no. They stopped building them. Uh, Naturally aspirated. Again, when it comes to when it comes to American engines, the United States does not build very good four cylinders or V6s. We usually do not build very good ones. Um, Usually after 100,000 miles, the lifters clatter, and it sounds like every last one of those lifters are going to come through the valve covers. A lot of that also has to do with the fact that people don't maintain engines, but still, yet, even if a well taken care of one, still clatters ridiculous. After 150,000. Most cases, those engines do not last super long. We just don't build good V6s or four cylinders. We just don't. We build good. We used to build amazing inline sixes. All the car companies did. They were strong, reliable. Um, okay, okay. Uh, the question remains, okay, is that horsepower number at the flex plate, the flywheel, what we call the crank or the base horsepower, or is that at the rear wheels? And a lot of times car companies will switch that around willy-nilly. If you told me that performance was at the rear wheels, you definitely have my attention. If you told me it was at the crank, I'm not impressed. Okay? And there's a reason why. Um, at the crank, you know, that's amazing, yes. But let me give you a better example. Um, The one that I'll go to because it's the one that it's kind of like the pinnacle of performance from the muscle car era. The 1970 Chevelle Super Sport LS6 454, rated at the factory at, believe it or not, 450 horses. However, no, I'm going to say that was the advertised horsepower. In actuality, it was well over 700 horses, but that was at the flywheel, all right? You drop that into said Chevelle Super Sport, and the top speed was about 140 miles an hour. That's pretty impressive. But you figure with an engine cranking out over 700 horses, that it would be astronomically higher. That's because by the time the power got to the rear tires, it wasn't as much as you thought it might. And on top of that, depending on the gear ratio, also depended on your top speed. And the final drive with the M22 Rock Crusher Muncie 4-speed manual transmission, it was a 1-to-1 ratio for your fourth gear. So your top speed was crap, compared to what the numbers actually were that you were putting out. Now, on the other hand, if you go to like the 1969 Dodge Daytona, okay, the car that inspired Richard Petty to come back to the Mopar Corporation, and of course we know in 1970 he drove the 1970 Plymouth Superbird to like numerous, that. So we know all of that. Well, those particular cars had really high gears in them, and they had a top speed of over 200 miles an hour. And of course, we know that the 426 Hemi was under the hood. We know that it had a 4-speed manual transmission. How in the world did it get a top speed that high? The gears in the rear end were extremely high, so it took a good long time for you to get to that top speed. Yes, but it had a phenomenal top speed. So now that we've discussed that, if you told me the Camaro's 4-cylinder turbo, 360 horses, is that at the flywheel or is that at the rear wheels? And I can guarantee GM is going to be a little shady about that information because nowadays they get to swap that around willy-nilly. Hi, honey. For those of you who do not know, Faye Rue, who's in the chat right now, that is my beautiful and lovely wife. Believe me when I say my world is just absolutely complete whenever she's my other half. I need coffee. I forgot to grab my coffee cup. It's still facing me, honey. It won't matter. We actually keep like a blue light out here in the living room. It's a little softer to the eyes, but I need coffee. My throat's getting dry from just yapping. So if that, I hope that answers your question on the horsepower numbers thing. And I'm also going to tell y'all a little secret about horsepower. And I've been threatening to kind of talk about this in a video for a little while. So we'll go ahead and talk about it right now. In the 1970s, horsepower numbers dropped like ridiculously. I mean, it was actually really, really kind of sad how much those numbers dropped. To give you an idea, I just mentioned the LS6 in 1970, the LS6 454 rated at 450 horses. By 1971, the numbers had dropped down to 425. So we were already seeing a drop in performance. And by around 1974, we started using net horsepower, what the horsepower was at the rear tires. Basically, if you will, the dyno, if the engine's sitting on the dyno, that's your gross horsepower. If you're getting the numbers at the rear tires, that's your net horsepower, after all of that. So so if you ever wondered about that, there's that little tidbit of information. But I've been threatening to talk about this for a little while now. And when you're talking about those performance numbers, there's what is on paper and then what it can actually do. Okay. I don't know if this will make any sense, but in the 1970s, I actually, well, from the 1970s, I had a 1977 Oldsmobile Delta 88 Royale. And it was very plush. It was a full-size luxury car from Oldsmobile. And it came from the factory with a Chevrolet 350. It was one of the first years they started doing it. And there was actually lawsuits over that. But now that I've discussed that, that engine was rated, I think, if I remember correctly, at 150 horses, but um, it had a top speed of 145 miles an hour, the same as the 70. It took you a little while to get there, took you a moment, but it still had a phenomenal top speed, and um, she'd she'd do a nice little burnout if you wanted. Okay, it was a lot of fun. So now that I've said that, think about that for a moment. You know, does a nice burnout and everything. Well, that's just because of the simple fact. Well, number one, the Chevrolet 350 is an amazing engine through and through. Um, so amazing that, you could, if even if you built one in stock form, you're still going to do something crazy with it. Okay. Um, so if you will, with your engines from the 1970s, there's what is on paper and then what they'll actually do. And most cases with your V8s from the 1970s, on paper, they're horrible. Okay, on paper, it looks bad. Even Project Spirits, even the inline sixes, it's the same thing. And how many videos have you guys seen by now from the old days where Spirit's sliding around corners doing exactly what you might expect from the 1960s, but she's a 1975, sliding around a corner with an inline six, naturally aspirated. And she was rated at 85 horses, the worst year for performance for the Mavericks, you know. So what gives? What gives? You know what I'm saying? So there's what is, so you can't always go by the dyno numbers. The real truth of it is what the actual engine will do with the right setup behind it is really what it always boils down to. Which I'm waiting to see all the problems that comes with these new multi-shifted automatics. I'm really waiting to see how many problems it's going to be within a couple of years. Where they shift so great, and they got X amount of gears, go be great on gas mileage and all this, and I'm waiting to see the problems that arises out of this. I got a funny feeling I know what it's going to be. These things are going to start blowing up, and they do. Everyone's going to be like, I thought these were going to be better, and you're going to tell me it's going to cost me $5,000 just to replace it, you know, and I'm waiting to see that. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Maybe the car companies finally got the hint, that people want vehicles that don't blow up on them. So, all right, throw me another question. Come on, give me another one. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Um, but yeah, for the record, I'm more of a GM kind of guy. As a matter of fact, my buddy Third Gen 83, and because even though we both got Mavericks, I usually have to learn what he knows about Mavericks. Um, because I usually have to pick his brain on Maverick stuff anymore. Because I mean I know quite a bit, but there's like the little details that he knows a lot more than I might. And then with when it comes, because the project he's working on is like a 1983 Pontiac Trans Am, and it might be a Firebird, same car really, but because I know the GM stuff, I usually, able to throw information at him that he may not know about, you know. So we exchange stuff like that. So it's, again, if you've never seen his Maverick, he's got videos up on his channel. He's got a couple good, gorgeous looking Maverick. It's like, yeah, you know. I'll just say it like this, and I know he's going to watch the playback, and he's probably going to laugh when he hears this. If he had a feather up his hind end and I had his Maverick, we'd both be tickled shitless. Anyhow, yeah, it's just one of those things. Us hot rodders, we will drool over each other's cars too. Um, you know, just one of them things. All right, let's see what we got here for anyone else got any other questions? Any other questions? Oh, real quick, someone asked me, your factory turboed engines, you have to change the oil. If you were using, say, it's synthetic and the oil needs to be changed every 5,000 miles with that oil, not with a turbo, it's every 2,500 miles. It literally those turbos will half the life of your oil if you did not know that. Okay. Um, so one of the reasons, and because of that, most people don't realize that, if you will, because they're not changing their oil when they're supposed to, because those turbos half the life of their oil. Because of that, um, they're halving the life of their engine. Okay, so no, I'm not a big fan of the turbo four cylinders for that reason alone. It's just that it's a practicality thing, you know. If you want to build a good a solid racer, you know, the best thing to do is start off with a carbureted V8 and build it build it mechanically sound and build everything that goes around that engine. You know, you don't have to build high horsepower numbers. And matter of fact, here's an old formula while I'm waiting for the next question. An old drag racer's formula: every 100 pounds you shave off of a vehicle is like a tenth of a second off of your quarter mile. Okay, so that should be an indication right there that if you make the minuscule changes to your car, you know, you don't have to have the big horsepower numbers to get the better time. You can get it by shaving weight. The Supras, I know have I know the four cylinder turbos. There again, okay, and I hate to be the one. Japan used to really build some really strong engines. The 2JZ or something like that was an inline. The one in particular I'm thinking of was a cast iron engine, and people have been slapping, you know, turbos on it and pushing the amount of air into that engine to astronomical proportions. Well, that's a cast iron engine, and those engines can take it. Again, an inline six design. Um, so that doesn't fully surprise me. And then they're saying that it's putting out ridiculous amounts of power, but these vehicles are really only for the drag strip. Okay. And when you talk about the drag strip, and I want you to think about this, okay? And don't get me wrong. You'll see people on YouTube build these really powerful cars, and you'll see them in a couple of videos, but that's it. They're not really daily driving. So you got to understand, when I talk about building what I'm building, the design behind what I'm building is I drive my car every day. Every day. Thank you so much, Sean, for coming into the live. He already telling everybody drop a like. So you got to understand from the standpoint of a, you know, there's, if you will, there's the practical and then, you know, the fun. And they're building those vehicles for fun. So yeah, go full bore, because if you break it, I mean, you're going to spend, you know, you're going to go out on the weekend, you're going to blow the guts out of it, you're going to spend the rest of the week putting it back together, and you're going to go back to the drag strip and rinse and repeat. You're going to go and run it down the track. If something breaks, you spend the rest of the week, you do it again. And that is fun to a lot of people. And that's awesome. I mean, myself personally, when I looked at it from an economical standpoint, yeah, that's, you know, it's still a lot of fun. But, you know, if I was going to build something like that, yeah, I know exactly how I would do it, and it would still be fun, you know. Um, Myself personally, if I was going to do something like that, Project Spirit with a with some Windsor class engine, and I would not put a turbo and fuel injection on it. No, 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 no. It would definitely be something like a blower that sticks up out of the hood and dual carburetors, you know, on some Windsor class engine. You guys get the idea. Old school stuff that, when you see that, you're like, yeah, your blood pumps, your heart, heart just, you know, that's the kind of stuff I like, that old school stuff. And for the record, most of the time back in the day, what we used to do with fuel injection is pull that crap off of our V8s and we would immediately go to carburation. To give you an indication, fuel injection's come a long ways though. Well, the real pinnacle was by 2006. Oh, good question. Now, someone really dropped a good one on me. Mechanical carburation. You got a Toyota Tundra, no problems, and you're right. The transmission bad um I'm not surprised. Toyota, Japan has been outdoing us for a long has been outdoing this country for a long while on engines. We need to get back to what we were doing. But to answer Sean's question, mechanical or non-compute or not computerized. The Most people don't know this. Starting around 1979, 1980, they started putting computers to carburetors, and it was like the precursor to the electronic fuel injection. And most people do not know that that was actually a thing throughout the 80s on some of your carbureted engines. So you could actually pop the hood and find your carburetor wired into a kind of like a brain box of some sort. And it was an early form of computer, ECU. And again, I will say it, rip that crap out of there and go back to the regular setup because those things are horrible. That's one of the reasons why the top speed for most of your 80s vehicles was 85 miles an hour. Usually, when you rip that crap out of there, even in a weak 80s V8 will go ridiculously fast for some odd reason. Go figure. But yeah, I will tell you why most Chevy trucks, their transmissions will go out. That's because if you had anything that says R4 700, yeah, they were meant to break. Um, Most of the time, I tell people that all the R4 700s, your best bet is send it to a transmission shop and have them install, beef it up, beef that thing up. But you're going to pay an astronomical price. Ironically enough, the best transmissions were the from Chevrolet in their trucks, for that matter, in their cars too, was the 350 turbo and the 400 turbo. But if you want something that will never break on you as far as an automatic transmission, from the GMs, the Power Glide transmission. It only had two gears. It was called the two-speed Power Glide, but you could not break them. They were bulletproof. As a matter of fact, you could go on to Summit Racing or go into a Jegs catalog, and they're still selling those dang things. These things are indestructible. You cannot break them. And basically, they're still selling them as performance transmissions because of how nearly indestructible they are. They're next to impossible to break. As a matter of fact, to give you an idea, um, you can do a neutral drop. I don't know if you all know what a proper neutral drop is, but basically you put your automatic in neutral and you run your RPMs up to red line and then immediately slam it in its low gear. Try that with a modern. Don't try that with a modern day transmission, but you get the idea. You'll blow the guts out of it. With the old Power Glide transmission, it'll burn the tires. As a matter of fact, my dad actually used to have a 65 Chevelle four door that had a 283 Power Glide transmission. And he showed me the hill. He would put this was kind of like the grade of this hill. And he would put this Chevelle on a hill like this, and he would put it in neutral. He'd let the car start rolling back, and he would get so far down the hill, and he'd have his foot all the way down onto the floor where, that thing's just screaming through the glass packs. He would take and then reach up and yank her down into low gear, with his foot still on the pedal. The back tires would sit there and start doing their squall, and then you would start hearing it buzz because they were turning over so fast at that point. The revolutions was just so ridiculous, and the tires had heated up. They were no longer squalling; they were buzzing, and then you would hear it grab, and he would pull up the hill. He was telling me that he turned a brand new set of tires into a set of slicks in 1 week's time. If that's any indication, how many times he had done that. And I was like, that's a heck of a way to coat the inner fender well with rubber. And he said, oh, yeah, I did plenty of that. And I was like, boy, that was expensive having to buy tires. He said, nah, I just moved them up to the front. I'm like, Dad, what if it rained? I didn't give a shit. That was just Dad. Uh, uh, so again, if that's any indication, what the Power Glide would hold up to. Again, if y'all got channels, whatever, network, get to know one another, let's continue to build our community. And again, I will say it that the Prince Magnum channel has the best subscribers in the world. We are the Maverick Nation. All right. So next question, if you will. That's a good one, throwing that one out there when it comes to automatic transmissions. Myself personally, if I could get my hands on a 4-speed top loader for Project Spirit, I would actually prefer that myself. I would actually prefer that in Project, but we're going to be switching over to a C4 automatic, and she'll go to the shop. That transmission will go to the shop and get beefed up with an external transmission filter and transmission cooler. But she'll come back with a B&M shift improvement kit, and I'm going to see about getting my hands on a Hurst shifter for the top of that automatic. Nothing wrong with the B&M shifters. They don't have the panache that the Hurst shifters have. Something about them old school Hurst shifters. And legitimately after that, I could actually get a badge on Project Spirit that says Hurst equipped. If I wanted. I might want. Legitimately, I could do that. All right. We have a total of, from what I could see, we have 2 in the live along with 4 likes. Thank you all so much. I do appreciate that. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, we can go a little bit longer yet. Real quick. Again, this is a Q&A. You could throw out any question you might possibly have for me. Anyone you want, anyone that you're thinking of. Within reason, obviously. You guys had some pretty good ones in here. I had to do a little bit of thinking and do some explaining because you get me going on a certain subject, and it takes me a second, but again, for the record, I like driving stick, but I'll be honest with you, there are times it is nice to drive an automatic when you live in a high traffic area. Matter of fact, we just did a video a little while back where I took Project Spirit on our first long trip, and it was really funny because when we were on that long trip, I got in a couple of traffic jams, and I'm like, now I'm hating driving stick right now because I'd move a few feet and everything. I'm like, I really hate this right now. I did a lot of cussing during that time. I hated every second. There we go. I'm actually going to have to look up Project Spirit's gear ratio in her rear end. I have never bothered to actually fully do that, which my buddy Third Gen 83 just gave me some tips on what we will be doing to look at the gears in the rear end. If it's the ones I think it is, which I think it's like a 3-to-1, the 300 gear ratio. If that is the case, I will be leaving those in place, but we're going to turn her into a posi track rear end. Basically, I'll order for the little pieces that turn it into a posi traction rear end, and that will allow There's what they kind of call the standard track or single track, where one side grips, the other side does nothing. But hi, honey. But then on the other, but then with a posi track, both of them will lock up at the same exact time. And then, of course, we know about limited slip. Um, Myself personally, I've had a limited, a few vehicles with limited slip, and they're not bad. But and they're similar to the posi track, but the posi track automatically it's a very quick lockup, and I like having that quicker response, that crisper. I want it right there, if you will. I want my instant gratification in this case. I want it, and I want it right now. So I want it to lock up, and with those high gears in the rear end, when it locks up like that, um, if I am drag racing, there is a drag strip not too far from here, that will help me with my times, getting both tires to lock up and take me down the track extremely quicker. I might be able to shave it, a little bit off my time. But it would be one of those things that will get an initial time how she sits right now in the eighth mile. I know some people are like, well, what would she do in the quarter? I don't know. Um, it's one of the things. But in taking her over to taking her over to the drag strip here in Bonne Terre. Yeah, we're gonna, we'll find out what she does in the eighth mile. I know once all of this blows over and everything, I know we're definitely going to take her over there. I'm curious myself, and I'm going to try to talk Princess Faye into seeing what her times are with Project Lena. Um, just curious. I know it's going to be quicker than Spirit. Just one of them things. We have a total of 4 in the live. Okay, okay. For those that don't know that, Princess Faye just put an inside joke about Project Spirit in the chat. Okay, because we were talking one day that I said, we're gonna have to get rid of the stick shift. I really hate giving up the stick shift. Um, and she's like, I said, I like driving stick. And she's like, oh, you like driving stick? Hang on, I'll be right back. She walks off and comes back with like a twig and puts it in there. Now you'll always be driving stick. That is still in Project Spirit, by the way, for those that might be wondering. Yeah. So that's our inside joke. And real quick, if you're ever out shopping somewhere and you see a couple all of a sudden just start laughing uncontrollably, right? Laughing uncontrollably, and you have no idea. Maybe they look at a particular something, or something like that. They look at something and then they look at each other and just start laughing. It's an inside joke. It's not that, everyone will look at these people weird. No, they have their own inside joke. You're not going to get it. You weren't there. And Princess Faye and I, because, we've been married almost 6 years now, we have a lot of those. Yep. That's what we're about to. There, one day, and people looked at us like we were weird. Um, when this happened, but all right, better yet, let me go back a little ways. Um, when Princess Faye and I first got together, we would be going down an aisle shopping, and I would pick up a can of whatever it is that we needed, and I would act like I was going to throw it on the floor, and I go 50 cent off. And the first few times I did it, she was like, like, and would kind of panic, and I'd laugh at that and say 50 cent off, and that was our joke, for a long time. We would go in someplace, we'd act like we'd throw something on the floor of that store and go 50 cent off. So the day comes, we're in our local. Hey, what's going on, Gamerin? We're in our local grocery store after doing, going in and that sort of thing. And we're walking around and we see this dented can sitting there, and it's got 50 cents on it. So we started laughing uncontrollably. And people, I'm looking at this can, laughing my ass off. She's laughing just as hard because 50 cents off, and about $1 anyways. So we're laughing at this because of the whole, acting like we were going to throw something on the floor and it's a dented can and go 50 cents off. So at that point, looking at this one can, we're laughing, and people are looking at us like we're weird, and it's like it's our inside joke. Get lost, dude. You don't get it. You're not going to get it because it's our joke. So if you ever see a couple doing that, maybe they're out shopping or something like that, and they look at something or something might happen, and they start laughing like hysterically, and you have no idea what they're laughing at, it's an inside joke. You're not going to get it. You're not privy to that. So at that point, you just say, good for you guys, because that's something you guys relate to. We got 4 people in the like that I can see, and a total of 5 likes. Thank you all so very much. You guys mean the world to me. Thank you. And 6. Whoa, that's awesome. Thank you all so much. I appreciate that. Throw me your next question. Throw me another good one. But yeah. So 7 likes. Holy cow! Wow. Either my counter is just catching up, or we got a lot more people than my counter's showing. Almost like jumping Jehoshaphat. Anyhow. All right, give me another question. Give me a good one. Come on, I can't wait. I'm almost waiting for someone to drop one of those questions I might actually blush on. Oh, what are you gonna do? All right. So there we go. So I got to answer one of the questions from a previous live too. There you go. Which since Gamerin wasn't in here to see this, we are working up to an eventual. This has got a question. But we gotta hear this one. Okay, lay it on me, honey. Real quick. Hey, Gamerin, what plant was Project Spirit? I could tell you it was somewhere up in Michigan. I know Ford had one in creme brulee. Cute. You know I don't know that one, honey. Cute. I can tell you that Project Spirit was my honoring wife. I could tell you that she was. I would actually have to look that up. I don't know which one she was actually built in, but I know at that time there was a plant in Detroit, and I think there was actually still one in Dearborn. So I honestly would have to actually look that one up. You kind of caught me with one. I know that it was somewhere up in Michigan, to my knowledge. But I know at one time there used to be car plants everywhere. As a matter of fact, Chrysler had a factory actually over in Fenton, Missouri, that my grandfather retired from. There used to be one out there in California that originally cute manufacturing plant. See what I mean, guys? So she's in there giggling right now at us, by the way. But I'll have to look that up. I'm kind of curious myself now. I know it was probably somewhere up in Michigan. Real quick, Gamerin, since you kind of missed out on it, part of the giveaway. Straight 30 weight oil still in its can. I mean, I don't know how well the mic can pick that up, but yes, the same type of oil that Project Spirit used to use. We use this now. This has got actual detergents in it, but that's the non-detergent 30 weight oil that you would have found in Project Spirit back in the day. Valvoline at that, the good stuff, name brand stuff. But anyhow, this is kind of what she uses now, straight 30 weight. And this has got the detergents in it that, won't tear up her, that keep her engine a lot cleaner than it used to be. How oils used to be back in the day. That's true. A lot of times you can actually get your VIN number and run that. I know, especially with your GMs, if you run your VIN number, you can find out the exact day, time, all of that stuff. Um, Not just well, see, this is actually. Let me explain. This is actually something that collectors look, especially in the United States. Um, and to put this into perspective, okay, something like this, say on like eBay or Amazon, can sell for up to $50 for just a thing of motor oil. Because what people will do is they will put this on a shelf, especially a lot of the shops around where I live. They'll buy something like this and put it on a shelf to show that to kind of keep the lineage of, to kind of make it's more or less a prop to them. And collectors look for that stuff. Well, the fact that it still has the oil inside of it makes it worth a little bit of money. And there was actually a guy who just gave the stuff to me. So this stuff is uh, a person in the giveaway can turn right around and sell that to a collector and make some money off of it if they wanted to, especially considering that we have not manufactured something like this in a very long time. If that's any indication of what I'm talking about. So if that answers your question, so you're not just getting a quart of oil. You're getting something that's actually kind of a collector's item as far as automotive history. As a matter of fact, notice there's no spout on it. Okay. And what you actually had to do is you got this metal funnel that had a spike on it, and you would punch it in there and it clasped right onto the can. Then you would pour it directly into your engine like that through the spout. That's how it worked. And that's how we used to do motor oil back in the day. So if you've ever wondered about that. As a matter of fact, some of your old engines actually used to have little spouts that came up off. You took a little thing right off top and you had to put it right in like that, and it still had the dipstick on the side. And as a matter of fact, if you look any pictures of any old 57 Chevys with the 283, you'll see that oil spout, and then the valve covers won't have much of anything on it. As a matter of fact, the PCV valve, it will actually be in the towards the back of the intake manifold instead of on the valve covers like you're used to seeing. I've actually seen those valve covers before. They're really cool looking. Has Chevrolet printed right across it, nothing on them, very clean, really gorgeous looking. So if you've never seen anything like that and always wondered about it, the things you learn. That's that old school automotive tech that you just don't hear about anymore. Um, so that yeah, that's part of the giveaway. Along with that, because I just showed these off earlier, I got my hands on some actual red box posters. These will be in the giveaway. And so if you like the Power Rangers, this is actually directly out of a red box. So that's part of the giveaway that we'll be doing. Once the monetization is turned on, we'll be able to do this giveaway. Along with that, if you're an X-Men fan, that will also be in the giveaway. And who knows what between now and then, what else I decide to throw in there, along with a brand new steering wheel cover with the fake wood grain. Actually, this is actually a really comfortable steering cover. I almost wish I was putting it in Project Spirit, but we have something totally different in there. Same brand, but just different cover. So very nice for a vehicle. You know. Along with that, you want the Power Rangers poster? Give me Voltron any day. And not just any Voltron, 1980s Voltron. All right. Along with that, we've got a few Hot Wheels to throw in there. A couple of Mavericks, ironically enough. These are actually kind of hard to get your hands on. I played Held finding these, so these will be in the giveaway as well. Um, so if your chance to get your hands on some collectors, because these are hard to find. For whatever reason, I got lucky and found a bunch of these. So a couple of these will be in the giveaway. Along with that, a brand new flashlight. Not just any fuzzy dice, my friend. Princess Faye made these to match Project Spirit's color. She actually made these. But yes, I have dice. You asked. Yeah, Princess Faye actually made me these. The only problem with them is that it has a tendency to yank the mirror off because it's mounted to the windshield. So unfortunately, I only run these when I'm doing car shows. But when people see it, they're like, "Wait a minute, are those actual made?" I said, "Yeah, those are custom made." Who made them? She's right there, because we go together a lot of times. So if you ever wondered about that, yes, we do have dice. Most people don't ask. That's almost the thing of the past. Putting fuzzy dice on there or the eight balls. Eight balls was putting the eight ball. Putting a couple of eight balls on your rear view mirror. That was a thing that that was a thing that was going on in the '90s. I know that because that's when I was first starting to drive and getting into hot rods and stuff like that. For the record, my first car was a '71 Nova. Yeah, yeah, I had a '71 Nova. My second car was a '78 Camaro. The next car I had after that was an '83 Caprice Classic. Then I had a 1980 Chevy Malibu station wagon. Then a '77 Oldsmobile Delta '88. Had an '83 Mercury Grand Marquis Colony Park station wagon. That thing was ugly. But it had a kind of a peppy little 302 under the hood, fuel injected, same type they were putting in Mustangs that year. Um, and then after that one, went back to driving the Delta full time, and then an '84 Buick Regal, and then an um, '87 Olds Cutlass Supreme, the real ones, the rear wheel drive ones, not the front wheel drive, the real one. Then we had after the Cutlass, we had a 2001 Pontiac Grand Prix. I hated that car. That thing was a that thing was a hunk of junk. Then had let's see, had a '91 Ford Tempo. Hated that one. Hated that car. Uh, a '96 Ford Mustang base model. '96 Mustang. I hated that was a love-hate thing. I hated that car when we got it, but towards the end I started liking it because we started doing a lot of work. And technically speaking, if you go back to the real early days of do-it-yourself budget hot rodding, that '96 Mustang Project Beauty was the original project car for the Prince Magnum channel. But that was when we were kind of flexing the muscles of the channel. We didn't even have an editor yet. We didn't have the editing program yet. So a lot of that, so you get to, I mean, I was really horrible at videos back then. Really horrible at videos. Every once in a while, I'll go back and watch one of those old videos, and it's like, very cringeworthy for me. And I will watch them, and it's like, my God, how far we have come, here on the channel. So if you ever want to see, the original project car for the channel, and you ever want to see, um, kind of that, I guess you could say you know, what it was like back then, how cringeworthy I was on camera and everything. That's a real good spot to start. And then, of course, after that, we know about Project Spirit, Project Vera, Project, Project Lena, and there's been a couple of other cars that kind of briefly passed through the channel. As a matter of fact, that 91 Ford Tempo that I'd mentioned, that car's name was Dinky because it was literally the smallest car I have ever owned. I used to make fun of those cars. I used to pick those out of the grill of my Camaro. So if you yeah, seriously, that's what I used to say. I picked those out of the grill of my Camaro. I hated that car. I mean, well, it had its good, and bad, but for the most part, I hated that car. So if you all ever wondered that, but that's all the cars we've had here that I've ever owned. Um, I did have a couple of chances back when I was a teenager to get a couple of different 57 Chevys, but I didn't have the money for them. I kind of kicked myself. I really should have just found a way to get the money together for them because good looking cars. Oh my God, good looking cars. And if you've never sat behind the wheel of a 57 Chevy, a restored 57 Chevy, you have no idea what true automotive, um, let me say right now, when you sit on this, I mean, Project Spirit's got real comfortable seats, and the most comfortable seats. Um, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, yeah, the tempos, and that was a horrible car. But the 57 Chevy, the seats in those, I mean, Project Spirit's got comfortable seats. The most comfortable seats I ever had in a car was in that 77 Delta. And then right behind that was the Mercury that I had. And then kind of right in behind that actually would have been the seats in that old Cutlass, ironically enough. Uh, but the most comfortable seats in any car I have ever sat on were those that were in a 57 Chevy Nomad. And these seats were restored to their original, what they originally were from the factory in 1957. And when you sat down on that seat, it just you really felt like you were sitting on something. You honestly felt like you were sitting on your couch. Um, you really felt like you were sitting on something so comfortable. And when you grabbed hold of that wheel, it wasn't like this little dinky wheel like you get in a car now. You grabbed onto a frickin' steering wheel. I mean, you felt like when you touched that wheel that you were in command of something special. Not just any car, but you were in command of that car. Um, the gauges were very simple, easy to read. Everything was right there. The horn ring was just, I mean, you knew, like a modern day horn, you feel like you're going to break the dang thing. In these, not the case. You felt like you could really, like you could beat on this thing and you're not going to phase it. It's going to look at you and say you hit like a little sissy. So if that's any indication, on top of that, these cars, in 1957, for those who want to be on Jeopardy, in 1957, the Chevrolet 283 was the first American engine to achieve 1 horsepower per cubic inch, was rated from the factory at 284 horses in the right configuration. You could get it in a 2 barrel, a 4 barrel, two 4 barrel carburetors, three 2 barrel carburetors, or the Rochester fuel injection. Yes, the first year for fuel injection from Chevrolet was in 1957. It wasn't electronic fuel injection, but it was fuel injection. But it worked off of some timing chain system. I didn't fully understand it. However, the problem was the leaded fuel at the time uh, oftentimes clogged set injectors, and most of the time mechanics would tell people pull that out of there. It's just not doing the vehicle any justice. and the owners would. And so eventually GM had to discontinue the Rochester fuel injection system, and that went away. Well, in 57, you could get it on just about any vehicle, but it went away. You could still get it on Corvette from 1958 all the way up until 1965. And 65 was the last year. But they were still putting it in Corvettes for a long while. I think you'd get a 327 with that fuel injection system on there. And I think could get rated. That particular 327 was rated at something like 375, 385 horses at the flywheel. So it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. It was actually pretty powerful. I often wondered what that fuel injection system would have done on the 327, the L79 327. So again, throw me another good one. Throw me a good one. You guys got good ones. I get going real good, so you guys don't get a chance to really throw any other really good ones at me. Because that's just my knowledge. I get, I just one of them things, you know. So far we have 2 in the live, 7 likes, and I know we're slowly getting ready to wind it down because I do have to get to bed. I have to get up here, I'll be up at like right now it's about 9:40, and I will be up at like 2:30 in the morning, be on the road at a little after 3 o'clock, and be clocking in at work at 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh wow. So you're yeah, that's right. Uh Original color, Project Spirit's original color, what you see on her, that light blue, which is actually called Ford Light Blue. That's her original color. It's faded. If I was to pop her trunk lid, you'd get a good look at what it really was back then. Some people in later years called it baby blue, and some people even went so far as to call it robin egg blue. Now, there's a joke about this, okay? And I'll talk more about this in a. Oh, um, I didn't quite catch that. COPL. But basically on Project Spirit, she was painted that Ford light blue. We called it Robin Egg Blue. And the joke about this is that back in the old days, we would we would make fun of four doors that were painted in. Cool. Okay. We would make fun of that particular color um, on those cars. We would say any car painted in robin egg blue that was in a four door, that was grandma's car. Now, the irony of that is Project Spirit, her original owner was a little old lady and used to tootle around with her grandkids in the back of that car. And when we did the live, you remember the scratches that I showed you, that was from one of the grandkids. I was actually talking about that. Well, when I bought, when Princess Faye gave me the money and we bought Project Spirit, and I took a picture and I sent it to my mom. I said, check out our new car. And immediately mom sent one back, said, you bought grandma's car, huh? First words out of my mother's mouth. And I'm like, shut up, mom. It's like, shut up, mom. No disrespect to my mother, but it was like, that's not funny. For the record, and she's like, of all the things, a freaking Maverick. And my mom had a Maverick. She had a 74 Maverick that was gold. And for the longest time, I kept thinking it was a four-door, but no, she had a two-door Maverick, and it kept breaking spark plugs. And I think it had an inline 200. It just kept breaking these spark plugs, and every month you had to change the spark plugs in it. Eventually, they got rid of the car, And now, now that we got mine, she's like, when she's like freaking old Mavericks, I didn't have very good luck with mine. Well, now that she's seen, now that, more and more we're doing stuff to mine, she's like, I kind of miss having a Maverick. And I'm like, uh-huh, uh-huh. You're not driving my car, Mom. You can't have my car, Mom. Just one of them, yeah, tease with my mother. You know, for the record, I love my mom. Um, just one of them things. So yeah, that's Project Spirit's original color. That's not been changed. Now, when we did the taillight panel, that is not original. Painting, that was only reserved for the Maverick Grabbers and the Maverick Stallions. Or if you went to South America, the Maverick GTs. That was only reserved for those vehicles. So what we did is this is what I like to call it's stock, but not stock for that car. So what we did was stock for the Mavericks, just not for that Maverick. Okay, that was never an option to be able to black out the tail light panel for the four-door Mavericks. That was for Project Spirit's year. That was strictly a Maverick Grabber option, and we basically added a Maverick Grabber option, part of the Maverick Grabber to Project Spirit. So if you were wondering about that, little something. Again, I know we talked about this before, and I'll tell you, I learned this from watching John Schneider on YouTube. And for those of you who do not know, thank you so much for that eighth like. For those of you who do not know, John Schneider played Bo Duke. Well, hello there, Princess Evelyn TV. Thank you so much for being here on the live. Thank you so much for being here for me. Basically it's a Q&A, and I'm actually talking. I've had some questions about my daily driven classic 1975 Ford Maverick and Project Spirit, and we were talking. I was just getting ready to tell why we blacked out that taillight panel. And where I learned this particular, I mean, it was suggested by my good buddy Third Gen 83, who has a 73 Maverick two-door. And he did that, and he put the Shelby taillights in it for like the Shelby Mustang. Gorgeous how he did that. Right. And for those that do not know, John Schneider played Bo Duke in the Dukes of Hazzard TV show. And he actually owns his own version of the General Lee. And he actually explained that on the General Lee, the rear taillight panel has to be a satin or matte black paint. It cannot be gloss, and it cannot be the same color as the car. When he was explaining mistakes that people make on their making their own version of the General Lee, which I thought that was interesting. Now, saying that, he explained why they started blacking out the taillights. Now, if you go back in automotive history, in the 1950s, there was this whole talk about what the future was going to be like, and there was talk about making rocket ships to go into space. And for those that do not know, Russia at this time, Russia was sending up Sputnik. Um, so because of that, there was this talk about what it was going to be like in the future, and car companies started building cars to kind of resemble the future, if you will. So that's where you get like on the 57 Chevy, you get the fins on it because that was to design, to resemble the rocket ship going into space and everything, that whole sci-fi rocket ship thing. So if you ever wondered about that, well, by the late 60s, we're starting to talk about going to the moon. So like on your Dodge Chargers and the Dodge Coronets, they started blacking out the taillight panel. And the reason why is at night, when your taillights are lit up, it's to resemble the thrusters on a rocket, like it's going up into space. So that's what it was to resemble. Well, they started doing that with some of the other cars, and Project Spirit. During her, the Maverick grabbers, they started blacking out the taillights, the taillight panels as part of that performance look. And what that was to resemble was at night when the taillights are on to resemble that rocket ship. So when it was, when I found that little bit of history out, I'm like, I told Third Gen, I was like, buddy, after looking this up, yeah, we are definitely doing that because now Project Spirit, even though it's era correct for her, if you will, it's to kind of resemble that. I guess you could say, even though it's era correct for Project Spirit, it's also era correct for the '60s, and I get a little bit of that touch of the 1960s on Project Spirit too, even though it's era correct you know, for the Maverick Grabbers. For those of you who do not know that, and whoever wants to be on Jeopardy, automotive history. Anyhow, think I might have a shot at that. Just those little things you don't really think about. So if y'all ever wondered about that, there you go. You know, throw me another good one. Romance, sobriety, car history. Throw a good one at me. Anyone you want. Or you can even ask me a personal question, obviously within reason, because there's some things I'm not going to answer. It's kind of left to one of those things that I'll just say it like this: if for some reason I'm not able to get monetized, and all of a sudden the channel stops, you stop seeing so many videos, start looking on Pornhub. No, I'm teasing about that. Princess Faye is going to come in here and slap me for that joke because I've made that joke for a while. Well, if we can't get monetized on YouTube, we'll go to Pornhub. No, honey, no. That's bad. I shouldn't. Yeah, that was still funny. It's right there, my own life right there. Like, really? Really? I loves you. Y'all get to watch me get in trouble on my own live. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. Cheesiest thing I've ever done in the name. She already knows it's gonna be funny. Cheesiest thing I have ever done in the name of romance. And Princess Faye does like when I do this, or at least she's never told me she doesn't like it. We'll be in somewhere like Walmart or something like that, and you know, she might point out, hey, look, honey, cupcakes. And you'll hear me go exactly like this. But you is my cupcake. Or, yeah, muffins. Muffins, I'll do that one. But you is my muffin. Yep, that's another one. Um, and that's the cheesiest thing you'll see me do. So she doesn't like, the yeah, that's another one. A muffin. I've actually done that. Picked up like a muffin for my muffin. That's another one. Um, and then of course, this one predates Princess Faye. This was when I was still working nursing, so this one goes back a little ways. And Princess Faye doesn't always like me mentioning this gal. She doesn't really like me mentioning any of my exes for that matter. But I was with this. I was with this. Here we go again. I was with this one gal, and she worked in dietary, uh, and of course, I worked in nursing, and she every once in a while I would have I would go up, we'd be serving dinner or supper to the residents, and I would go up to, say Princess Faye always I'll explain that here in a moment in a moment. I would every once in a while one of my residents would ask, hey, Prince Magnum, would you obviously my real name, but for the purposes of YouTube, Prince Magnum, could you see if they have any pudding in the back? And I would go up to the door and say, "Hey, honey," and she'd say, "Yes." I'd say, can I get some pudding there, pudding?" And residents thought it was cute. That's still baking. Are you trying? No baking. Told you. I told you. Now the whole pig thing that Princess May put up. Um, she likes to say that a lot of my exes were fat little oinkers. That's what she'll actually say. Um, and for the record, my ex that was before Princess Faye, she wasn't a big woman. See what I mean? See what I mean? Y'all are trying to get me killed. But yeah, she Princess Faye does not like any of my exes. Um, Cameron, you're awesome, man. You're trying to get me killed. I'm gonna get turned into mulch. What am I gonna do with y'all? All right. Uh, See what I mean? Um, yeah, it's pretty strict. Now I can bake. She has okayed me to bake bread, and I know that I'm going to be working up to trying that. But that's going to be a really long-winded process, to the point where I won't be able to do that one live. That one will probably have to be. We'll probably bake it live, but I'll probably be running one of my cameras kind of in the background. Um, so I'll be on two cameras, one that'll actually be live. Yeah, yeah. Y'all see, she's threatening to kick the tar out of me. Oh man. Bread and pudding. Oh man, gamer, I don't need your help. Pudding is um I don't need your help to get into trouble. Yeah, she does. For the record, Princess Faye does not like the "you want some pudding there, pudding." If I do that joke, I'll be surprised if she does not come in here and I get slapped a good one in the back of the head for that, saying that, because she doesn't like that one. There's another one. It's kind of creepy that my ex and I did. See what I mean? Um, there's one that my ex and I said to each other. It's kind of creepy. Uh, but I won't do it unless the chat asks for it. Okay. I won't tell that joke. But anyhow, y'all are gonna get me into trouble. Um, she knows the one I'm talking about too. She knows the face palm. But yeah, but yeah. Now you guys get me talking about my exes. You're gonna get me murdered. Uh, Princess Faye is gonna. I'm surprised by now she's not looking in here, giving me that look. That look. That look that See, y'all are getting me into trouble. I don't need your help to get into trouble. Oh man. Um, let's see. Um, I know tomorrow is going to be loaded content. And we're going to try to come back Sunday. When we do come back Sunday, just go be on the couch. I know at some point we'll probably come back Saturday night, and depending on what's going on, we might go a good long while. I have no idea what we're going to do. We might come back. I know we're definitely coming back Sunday sometime live. We're going to try to do something, but I know we're going to upload content to what tomorrow, Saturday, we're going to definitely be doing uploaded content. And I know it's going to be a Legend of Zelda where it's going to be the part two, First Labyrinth. Okay. That is a good question. How many of you are quarantined right now? How many of you out there in the chat? Or if you're watching the playback and that question comes up, leave that comment. Tell us how y'all are doing out there. That's a good question. Really good question. So far, we're voluntary around here. Voluntary around here. So. So if you're all wondering about that, so far we're okay. It's just a lot of the restaurants have kind of shut down right now. As a matter of fact, Applebee's over in Farmington, basically they told their people we're not going to be able to stay open much longer at this rate. So just hang in there. Well, Gamerin, well, I mean, that's an opportunity for you to get more content loaded to your channel. I know uh, I can't wait till your next video comes out. I've been waiting on that because I'm curious what else you're going to throw out there. And for those who do not know, Gamer puts out some interesting retro content that I mean, that 8-bit era stuff that I've never seen before, and I really get a kick out of it. Um, so if you've not checked out what Gamer's got going on in his channel for retro gaming, it's a definite interesting look into our past. I get a kick out of it. So if y'all haven't had a chance, definitely check it out. Let me tell y'all right now. Let's see. Uh, let's see. We're getting ready to wind it down. We had in the live with us today. Um, we had my beautiful wife, Princess Faye, uh, who just loaded a video of one of our cats today, our Black Cat Galaxy. We had Sean Keating in the live today. Absolutely a fantastic, fantastic person to have in your life, and has some amazing people come into. I don't, I've been to his channel, but I've not seen. I think he loads and takes down, loads and takes down. Kind of building his fan base like that. We had Princess Avellini TV. I know I just totally massacred that. Who was in the live with us today. And along with that, we also had Clifford Smith in the live talking about vehicles. Think Different was in the live today and is coming up on his 1 full month of sobriety. We had Fleming, the ultimate grave taker, almost messed that up, in the live with us today, and Hector underscore 0 underscore 84 in the live today. Absolutely, uh, fantastic people in the live with us. Thank you all so much. There you go. Again, thank you all so much for being in the live with me today. So again, for as we're bringing this to a close, look forward to some loaded content tomorrow. I'm taking the day off from lives. Um, Again, if you stream or if you do edited, yeah, I did, Gamer. I mentioned you that you do the retro content. Yes, yes, mentioned you. Cannot forget Mr. Gamer in BRFC, a man who does retro gaming. And that's right. Yes, we did you not hear me? Yes, I mentioned you, buddy. Oh my gosh, don't you dare think that I wouldn't dare mention you. You ornery cuss. SpongeBob. Oh, myself personally, SpongeBob. Oh, that's like brain rot, man. Anyhow, actually, for me, I still watch him. Well, I can't say nothing. I watch He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. I still watch She-Ra, Princess of Power, Voltron. Um, I still watch 80s cartoons. That's okay. It's okay. Nobody making fun of you for that. I still watch Looney Tunes. Yeah, I still watch Looney Tunes. Um, come on. It's okay. It's okay. We all get it. And for the record, one of my favorite movies from way back when, Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Come on. So all right, again, so if you're watching the playback, check those folks out. I'm telling you right now. Um, yes, Inspector Gadget, Inspector Gadget.
My headphones died.
Your headphones died, honey? Okay. Well, it's that time anyways. It's getting late for me. It's actually after 10 o'clock here. So, all right. So be sure to check each other out if you haven't. Yes, yeah, that's a good one.
What
Um,
was it?
Dungeons and Dragons, the original from the 80s.
I used to watch that when I was little.
Yes.
It's a good show.
I'll tell you another one that you guys should check out, SWAT Cats. You'll like that one too. Anyhow, that's not 80s. That's like early 90s Hanna-Barbera. Anyhow, all right. So that brings us to our usual spot. As always, be sure to smash the like button. And if you're not subscribed, you want to hit that subscribe button. We're going all the way, baby. Um, the next goal is monetization. All right. And as usual, get out there and work on a project. Don't care what it is. Just do something with yourself. And, remember, idle hands and a creative mind go together like oil and water. If you have a sweetheart, sweep them off their feet. Do something special for them today. And as always, for all of you out there, especially in these dark times, if no one out there has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.